everyone, this is Dr. Racine Henry, aka Chef Dr. Ray, and you're watching another episode of A Palette for Love Live, where therapy comes off the couch and into the kitchen. I'm so excited today to have Julia Estrada here with me.
So my name is Julia. You can find me on Instagram at Bread and Basil, where I share seasonal recipes. I have been cooking for my whole life, but recently it's really come into my mental health journey because it's helped me develop a sense of confidence and wholeness as I deal with some chronic illness.
And we're also going to be making a lobster soufflé. I've only made lobster soufflé once in my life, successfully.
I've made soufflé once. So.
Okay.
So I have been baking for a very long time, but I actually started cooking once I went to college and I didn't have my mom and I had to learn how to cook for myself. So I would cook lots of different things, but I noticed that I had a lot of stomach issues. And you go to the doctor and you have stomach issues and they say, oh, it's stress, oh, it's you're nervous, oh, it's this thing or that thing. And they would give me medication and say, go on your way and whatever. But I continued to want to learn how to cook and really dive into the food world, but I always had these stomach issues. And then finally I got diagnosed with a couple different chronic illnesses that affect my whole body, but really do actually affect my digestive system the most, which can be really challenging when you want to work with food for a living. But what I've learned to do is really take it step by step, and I've learned the different things that are safe for me to eat, the things that are not okay for me to eat, and one of the things that has been the coolest for me is actually learning how to make my own bread. And switching from commercial bread to homemade bread has been one of the most healing things that I have done, both for my soul, because the process is so lovely, and for my gut, because the probiotics are really strong.
So we're going to start with steaming the lobsters. They're still alive. And then we're going to break these down and, that scared me a little bit. We're going to break these down and create the base of our soufflé. It's going to have some milk, a bunch of seasonings, some shrimp stock that I made, and a few other things as well. So let's see if we can do that. I'm gonna get started on the lobster base. The lobsters are still cooking. I'm gonna crush up some of this garlic. Julia's gonna handle the onions, and we're also gonna put in celery and carrots with the stock and a few other things.
Great.
So while we do that, I wanted to just hear about how things changed for you once you learned about your diagnoses. And how it impacted the people around you as well.
Yeah, so my main diagnoses are Ehlers-Danlos syndrome type 3. I have postural orthostatic tachycardia syndrome, which is a sort of heart and circulatory thing.
Okay.
Ehlers-Danlos is connective tissue. So there's connective tissue all over your body.
Right.
From your heart to your muscles, joints, bones, bloodstream even. So it's really a full body illness. And then the other thing I have is mast cell activation syndrome, which is an allergic condition. So
wow.
Yeah, it's a triple whammy that actually used to be considered quite rare, but it's becoming more diagnosed now. It's actually just rarely diagnosed.
So I wonder about that, when things become more popular, like ADHD in kids. Is it that we're better at detecting it, or is it that it's actually occurring more often in people?
So Ehlers-Danlos is a genetic illness.
Okay.
So we don't really know if it's happening in any more prevalence, but they kind of stopped research on it for a very long period of time, and then in 2017 they changed the diagnostic criteria, and suddenly all of these people, suddenly all of these people were like, wait a second, I fit this diagnosis. And actually in recent years, Sia has the same diagnosis I have. Jamila Jamil is an actress on The Good Place and other things. She has the same diagnosis. And then Evie Oddly, who just won RuPaul's Drag Race, also has EDS type 3. So I'm in good company. Yeah, I got good friends. Yeah. So it was tough when, it's tough for any mother to hear that their child is chronically ill and that it's genetic. And it's tough for any partner to know that their partner lives in chronic pain. But what I decided was that I got diagnosed when I was 25, and I have a long life ahead of me, and I have a lot of time to figure this stuff out. So I went to my mom and I went to my boyfriend and I said, I'm gonna take the next year to really figure this out. And they were super supportive in that. I now go to physical therapy, Pilates, and mental therapy every single week, just as my baseline care, and then I do other things on the side to supplement that. And even at home, Damien will help me with like, if I one of the things that happens to me is my ribs dislocate a lot.
Oh, wow.
He'll put them back for me. Like he's trained, he knows how to do that for me now. So it's actually been a whole process of not only helping me with the emotional support, but actually the physical support that I need too.
So now we're going to break down the lobsters, and we want to use everything possible to flavor the base. That means all of the roe, the tamale, everything is going to go into the stock. So while you were talking, Julia,
Sorry.
it's okay. One thing that I've always noticed about you from our first email exchange even is just how positive you are and how like upbeat and just optimistic about everything you seem to be. And with all the things that you've just described, all of the hardships you have, I was really wondering, what do you do? I know you said you go to therapy, but like what else do you do that helps you stay as positive as you are?
Well, I think it's about the choice that I choose not to live in a scarcity mindset.
Okay.
I could focus on all the things that I don't have.
Right.
The ability to work full time like my friends do. The ability to like stay out and party and drink and all that. Like the things, I could focus on all that. But that's not like a very happy place to live from.
Yeah.
And I've really realized that if I focus on all the things that I do have, it helps me be okay with a lot of the struggle that I go through.
Okay.
So, you know, even though I do have a lot of chronic illness, like I was able to go to Colombia this summer and go hiking in the jungle. That's a really cool thing. Like not a lot of people get to do that. It was challenging for me. It was hard and I needed a lot of support, but like I said, like I have the support of my partner. I was traveling with his family and they were all very helpful with like everything I needed. And even though I did have some like challenges that they didn't face, I still was really focused on the fact that I got to have that experience.
Yeah.
So like I just focus on what I can do. I can cook. I can, you know, live in New York City. I have access to the best medical care, you know. I have, you know, my mom who supports me. I have a lot. Despite all of the, you know, challenge that I face on a daily basis. So that's really how I stay positive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I know your partner, Damien. I've met him a few times. He's a wonderful person.
Yes, he is.
And I'm so happy that he put us in contact with each other. But I remember you mentioning that you had to get these open somehow.
Oh, yeah.
We can use
these?
Well, these don't really have much.
There's not much on them?
Yeah, no. They're more so
Never
like
mind.
for decorations, but that stuff we'll use.
Perfect.
I remember you talking about how he helps you just with cooking and how cooking is more so your thing, but now it's become sort of his thing too because he has to know what to do to help you. Right.
So it's interesting, you know, being the person with chronic illness and also being a woman in the relationship, like finding my sense of power and how to operate with that when I do require a lot of support. But there will be times like when we are making dinner together, he'll do a lot of the like repetitive chopping. And I will do more of the oversight. So even though he's doing maybe more of the prep work because I don't have the energy to be standing or, you know, doing all of it, he will do, it's the thing with lobster.
Joy of lobster.
It's cool. He'll do some of the prep work, but I'll oversee the process.
Right.
So that he is following my instructions and I do have the power even though I don't feel powerful in that moment.
That's really important.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that you two have pretty good communication then.
Yeah, we do. We really do. We've been together for 6 years. We've been living together for a little over 3. But actually for the first, we met in London. And then he moved back to Florida and I moved back to Connecticut. And so for 3 years almost, 2.5 years, we were long distance. And you cannot get through a long distance relationship if you don't have good communication.
Right.
Because
and
all you
people dread it. Yeah.
All you have is communication. You
Right.
don't have that physical like connection. You don't have the ability to watch TV together. Even all of that just goes out the window.
Right.
So we have to communicate in order to keep the relationship alive. And for 2.5 years we did, and now you know we have our domestic partnership. We're living together, like
Right.
And dealing with life together, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So we're gonna get cleaned up, and then we'll keep making this.
Sounds good.
Okay. So I'm gonna start with the aromatics of onion and the garlic. I left the garlic in the skin because there's so much flavor in there, and we're gonna be straining it anyway, so it doesn't matter. And then I'm gonna put in the celery and the carrots, let that soften a little bit. Oops, lost a few. And then we're gonna add in all of the water from the lobsters. That's gonna be such flavor. Even the tamale and the roe, because again, we're straining everything. So it's okay. And all that's in there. And to this, I want to add some smoked paprika for flavor. And I'll show you how I get all the seasoning off of the lobster. We're gonna add some cayenne pepper. A little spice never hurt anybody. We'll throw in a few bay leaves, again for flavor. A little bit of fennel seed. Fennel has a really good aromatic flavor too. Some herbs de Provence that Julie and I both already said goes great in every and anything.
Big fan.
Huge fan. And then I'll put in some tomato sauce as well. You can add fresh tomatoes. Excuse me, but this is just my little cheat. And then the shrimp stock. So I'm gonna pour the stock over the bodies. That way that seasoning gets poured off too.
Smart trick.
Just thought of it in this moment.
Love it.
And then I'm gonna pour some of this in here to get out the last bit of the tomato sauce as well.
Cool.
And this is gonna simmer for about 20-25 minutes just so all the flavors can marry and get really, really comfortable with each other. And then what we're gonna have left is a really delicious stock.
It smells amazing already.
Oh, good. Julia is in the background making some egg whites into stiff peaks. I am going to strain the lobster reduction that we've made here. Get some of the small bits out. This we're going to also reduce down to make it even more rich of a flavor. Let's add that. Should we do little by little? Or
Yeah, just to not deflate them, I think. But now, yeah, you can keep going, I think.
So finally, we're just about done. We're gonna put the souffle base in these 2 ramekins that are not the same size because they're from different stores, and it's fine.
Whatever. How full do you want them?
Maybe about 1/3 of the way, and then I'll put some of the lobster meat on top there.
And we took a lot of care not to knock all the air out of the egg whites that we whipped up.
Yeah, because we want a souffle. The whole purpose of a souffle is it's supposed to rise. And you have to eat it right away before it deflates.
And you can't stomp around the oven.
Oh, you can't stomp around
You can't stomp around the oven or it'll deflate, yeah.
Okay, well, look at that. Learning something new every day. That's why Julia's here. She's not being paid. She's just here to teach me things.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like no stomping.
No stomping.
No
And then we'll
stomping.
put the rest of the souffle base right there. It should be
Ask me how I learned that.
Go into a 475-degree oven for about, what did I say, 10 minutes, 5 minutes? And then we're gonna lower the oven a little bit just to finish it off. So our souffles are finally finished.
They smell incredible.
And they have not yet deflated, so let's make a little hole. I'm gonna use that fork over there. And we can put some of the sauce inside. Oh, that looks good. Oops. Here, you can do it.
Yes.
And then we'll taste it. I feel like...
And this has been reducing, so it's really flavorful.
That's really,
That's
really
really
good.
good. That is really good.
Julia, thank you so much for coming to Palette for Love Live and telling your story.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
Cooking with me anytime. You can catch another episode of Palette for Love Live next Sunday at 7 o'clock. Thanks so much for watching.
Thank you.